Now I have a question. Why did they... This is a blank figure body for, like, custom action figures. Why did they give this man such an apparent bulge? Look at this mountain plastic here. This is,
Hey, I mean, canonically, he's packing, I guess.
That's what we call an opposite name, or
I love that someone at Disney was like, no, this fish
too
man
much dick.
has too much dick going on. You
Fish
gotta get rid of
man.
it.
This fish man has too much dick. We need to edit out the dick. We're putting him in tights, but we need to edit out the dick. I want the dick cut.
It's like in like the heyday of like the Sears catalog when they're like airbrushing nipples and stuff. Like,
Oh, you mean wrestling that still does that? Yeah. Why does Batista have no nipples in this promotional image? Hello and welcome to Stars Every Week Forever, the podcast in which we watch one Star Wars movie every week forever. This week, Return of the Jedi and Ben, but the Jedi.
No, I've been here.
No, you haven't been here.
Yeah, I've been here.
Uh-uh.
Why would you lie to the good people of the internet, Jay?
I distinctly remember you not being here.
I distinctly remember that being a lie from the government. So, who are we really going to believe here?
I believe 6 things.
I think we're at 9 things now.
I think we're at 9. Yeah, we're getting up
I'm
there.
taking a guess. Ben, how was your watch?
It was the highlight of my day, which says a lot about how my day went.
I'm so sorry.
That is concerning. Are you all right? If that's
Yeah,
the
no,
case?
it was just I didn't sleep good last night, and it was a busy day. And then I came home, and I just I laid down, and I was starting to fall asleep, and then I just could not fall asleep.
What is sleep?
So then
What
my
is-
roommate just came up and hung out with me, which was the better part of most of the day.
So it goes, your roommate hanging out with you, Star Wars, everything else.
Yeah, pretty much.
Chris, how was your watch?
It was not the best part of my day. Just to put that out there. I wouldn't say it was a bad watch necessarily. It was fine, but it was certainly not the best part of my day. Couldn't tell you what the best part of my day was. It wasn't Star Wars.
Yeah, we're recording on a Monday, so
It do have Monday vibes.
for at least 2 of us, it's been a while since we watched it.
This is a Monday edition of the podcast. I watched it this morning, so it's very fresh.
Happy New Year! 2023 has arrived.
Oh God.
God.
We remembered to bring this up, unlike the Christmas episode, which has a mention of me in it at the 40-minute mark.
It's a good thing you were. It's a real good thing you were there for that episode to get that in. Totally forgot about it.
Yeah. It's a good thing I was
Hello.
definitely there that episode. Weird vibes that episode, but felt like there was
a little bit of a weird vibe that
dissonance happening that episode where, I mean, I got a nap in that episode, so that's nice at least.
Hello to the future inhabitants of the wasteland.
I love that every year we predict that the next year is going to be the apocalypse. by
Look,
the
one
time
of
we
these
get there.
one of these years, it's bound to happen.
It's
the rate
it's
we're
like
going.
what's that thing in math? Is it a logarithm where it gets closer and closer, but it never quite
Societal edging, if you.
Societal edging.
Christopher.
That needs to be the name of the episode. I'm putting my
Christopher.
foot down.
There's
that,
one phrase I never need to hear out of your mouth again.
That I'm putting my foot down. That's the name of the
Hey,
episode.
I think I've talked plenty about edging on this podcast.
Unfortunately,
It's true.
It's a thing that I did.
How was your watch, Jay?
fantastic. I had such a good time.
Are you feeling okay?
I've had such a good time. It was
I'm
great.
scared. I'm scared.
Jay, are you back to drinking on the podcast?
No, I was in fact very, 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 for the first time in
Oh,
8 years, very high. I was very high. And I believe I messaged the Discord at one point. It's just like,
Yeah.
maybe Star Wars ain't that bad. I had a great time. Awesome. Awesome watch.
We were all very concerned.
The highest J has been since the They Might Be Giants watch.
Yeah.
Is it bad that we're so far into this show and we've done so much dumb shit that I have completely fucking forgotten about the They Might Be Giants watch?
I have never forgotten.
Well, as the one who experienced it, I'm sure you haven't. No.
Yeah. Yeah, I got up at like 8:30 on Thanksgiving Day. And
God.
the opportunity was in front of me, and I knew I had to watch Return of the Jedi at some point, so I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Fuck it. We'll
do it live.
Hey, I mean, weed helps.
Weed
All right.
does help.
I've gone back recently and listened to some of our early episodes because a friend of mine discovered the show and has been listening to it. So I was like, oh god, I should go back and listen to these and
Whatever
see how
the
bad
fuck
they
they're
are in
listening
retrospect.
to.
Yeah. And was a very different person. I was a very, very different person, and I think for me, weed has certainly helped with watching Star Wars.
In a retrospective way, I've had thoughts a lot lately about how the tempo of the podcast has changed a lot in the last year, especially. We used to get excited and loud and angry and go on rants, and now it's just kind of like an even tempo for the most part.
I mean, we get excited. We go on like laughing fits and like the occasional rant, but there's not as much like vitriol.
That energy's mostly coming from like each other though, like not so much Star Wars itself.
Yeah, we all like each other very much, and I get giddy around my friends.
We enjoy each other's company, and that helps. But I think we've reached the acceptance part of this podcast. That said, I wish I could get high every time that I watch Star Wars now, but that will not happen.
I mean,
It could.
it could.
Not the way I got high that day, that's for sure.
Oh, jeez.
I expected the first time that I smoked pot in 8 years, it would be a nervous experience. Nah, buddy. Nah. Nah.
I get to sound like the boomer here right now. Weed has gotten way stronger. It is. It's not that brick weed shit
Back
that
in my
we were
day.
smoking as teenagers. It is. It'll sneak up on you.
I mean, I'm pretty sure when I used to smoke pot, what I smoked was 30% the resin at the bottom of the bowl. So I don't. World's changed. World has changed since 2014.
Some things for the better, some things for the worse. Like Star Wars, for example.
Like Star Wars.
I'm still behind on my Star Wars. I have not finished Andor. I'm only halfway through Tales of the Jedi. I do not want to finish my Brussels sprouts.
I
haven't
heard great
begun.
things about Andor, though.
Not begun Tales from the Jedi.
I've heard great things about Andor.
I've heard great things. I enjoyed the 75% of it I watched.
A couple of episodes I watched I liked. I just haven't had time to continue watching it. I think if I didn't watch Star Wars every week forever, I would probably be done with it by now.
I have been told that it is a bad show because it has bricks and screws.
Oh god, I don't even want to get started on it. Yeah, there is a Star Wars content creator who I don't feel like naming.
No,
who I used to enjoy the content of until I think it was when the whole thing went down with Gina Carano was when it started, but he just started throwing a bitch fit anytime there was he freaked out because they had the AK blasters, and he was like, Star Wars doesn't have magazines. And then that turned into Star Wars doesn't have bricks, and I'm literally
Star Wars has had
both of those things.
Star Wars has had magazines and
yeah,
a lot.
Literally,
yeah.
Star Wars Republic Commando, where you reload every weapon that has a clip.
Listen, maybe you shouldn't do lore videos when you're that unself-aware. I don't know.
Nah, he knows what he's doing.
If I'm not mistaken, the original standard Stormtrooper blaster rifles have a big ass
Mhm.
mag coming out
They
the
do.
side of them.
Yes.
He's rage farming.
I fall into the weird gray area potentially of Star Wars fans who it's probably a lot of Star Wars fans, I imagine, no gun knowledge, and then some Star Wars fans way too much gun knowledge. I think I fall into a nice, comfortable point in the middle there.
Also me, probably.
That's a ridiculous fucking argument for a human being to make,
Mm-hmm.
and a way to show that you know nothing about either of those things. I think. Just be like, Star Wars doesn't have magazines. Yeah, it fucking does. Get the fuck out of here. Now, will I say that the AK blaster rifle made me laugh very hard when I first saw it? Yes, it did.
Yeah. But I mean, also Star Wars isn't really a stranger to using very well-known firearms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's also fair. It's just
Han Solo
it was
uses
a very
a dirty Harry, basically. Like,
I mean, Han's pistol looks like a is the Mauser? Is the Mauser I'm thinking of? Not a Luger,
it's like
like
if
a
you
Mauser
took a dirty
pistol.
Harry and a
You're
Mouser
thinking of a
and just
Mauser.
smashed them together.
Yeah, like it's people get hung up, and this is gonna sound hilarious coming from me on this podcast. People get hung up on weird shit with Star Wars.
Well, this is the self-awareness part of the show that happens every once in a while. We get hung up on weird shit because we are constantly self-inflicted, barraged by the same thing every single week. Somebody like this individual is just unhappy for no particular reason, or is farming as been theorized. It's a theory. It's just a theory.
I hate you.
Is doing this to farm clicks and interactions and build a brand off of being shit.
I mean, to get dangerously close to talking about politics on this show, it's something you see a lot with YouTubers like who dip into the right wing stratosphere because that's
Yeah.
where the money is. That's where the money and the views are. You know, if you have flexible enough moral dipshits in the Midwest, I say as someone currently living in the Midwest.
But anyway, I don't want to spend all my time on the best watch I've had in rotations on that gentleman that
Yeah, you
I have always disliked.
you have seen this movie through new eyes this week, Jay.
Yes.
How was that?
I had a wonderful time.
This is an interesting one to experience through these new eyes as well.
Well, to be very clear, I watched like the first 25 minutes before Thanksgiving. So like I watched that on a different day, and then I watched the rest of it while high as fuck.
So, very important question.
Yes.
Did you watch the musical number while high? Or
Yes,
was
I
that pre-musical number?
Yes, I
Okay.
did. See, I have grown to love the musical number so fucking much because it's so out of place and it's so different and it should not be there and it actively hurts the movie and I love it for that.
I don't know that I would agree that it actively hurts the movie. It's very out of place in a very funny way. I don't know that I would agree with it hurts the movie.
I think it hurts the tone a lot. I think the original cut of the movie, which I haven't watched in many years, so whatever, but I think the original cut of the movie had a better tone and better beats. And I think additions like the musical number breaks that up pretty bad. But I don't personally fucking care because it's funny to me every single time where it's just like fucking excellent. I was so happy. I've been coming around to it, but this watch especially was just like, I believe I wrote down, I am not kidding when I say I get massive laughs out of the musical number. It's an abomination and I love it so much.
I mean, it's That's the
Oh,
thing. It's just funny as hell.
yeah.
It's true.
I apologize. I once again didn't listen to the podcast live commentary on Return of the Jedi. I got busy eating a sandwich.
I think you were busy doing a bit more than just eating a sandwich.
You'd be surprised if find that it was not the case.
You would be surprised, Ben, at the motor function it requires to eat a sandwich while very, very high. Find out how difficult basic tasks become, but how much more enjoyable they become.
I used the video that you used, Chris.
This is the video you showed me?
So Chris has a video on YouTube that he uses when he's having a bad trip.
But it's like it's what to do if you're too high, and it's just this very nice lady just guiding you through. And my wife discovered recently that this is a video I watch when I get too high, and I've not seen my wife laugh so hard and for so long in a very long time.
What to do if you're too high on weed by Lifehacker. All I had to do was search in our general Discord with our friend group. My wife found, and I found it immediately.
I have that saved on my my YouTube, so it's there if I need it.
Let's see if we can make any sense out of my notes.
Oh God!
So that's a fun game. Fun game.
Because I have actually quite a few notes. I wrote down. Oh, this is actually a sober note. I really like the Twi'lek consort because the way he speaks the Huttese language is weird as fuck. The way he enunciates things, he's specifically trying to reference English words with everything that he does, and it makes it very comedic to me. He's not speaking it like it's an entirely unique language. He's speaking it trying to find words that he knows in real-world languages and just glomping onto those as hard as he can.
Which, respect.
For some reason, I can't. I think I know what this is saying. The Anakin, specifically Anakin shade that Vader gives Palpatine by sarcastically saying "as you wish." That is a full note. And there are many words misspelled in that particular note. I think I know what this is referring to. For some reason, I laughed really hard at the Palpatine arrives on the Death Star scene. Because for some reason, when Vader kind of turns to him and goes, "as you wish," for some reason, that came off as Anakin Skywalker to me being like super sarcastic, and I just laughed for
Given some attitude.
an embarrassing amount of time at that particular one note, uninteresting. And I think it also didn't help that Palpatine laughed, and that caused me to laugh, and then I kept laughing, and then I couldn't stop laughing. So
Stuck in a loop of laughing along with Palpatine.
laughing loop, yeah.
Oh man, your next watch, especially since it's Force Awakens, is going to be real disappointing.
Real sad. Yeah. I feel like we don't talk enough about the alternate universe where Yoda, Luke, Dad, and by extension, Secret.
Oh, this is still your notes. I thought this was you, like, actually trying to, like, say something and not reading your notes. I was
Well,
so
for
was
Jay.
trying
He's
to
having a
say
stroke.
something.
No, but I mean, like, right now saying something.
That's what my note says.
That's
I agree.
Yep.
I agree.
I agree.
I think I have a theory.
I would love to hear this.
I think Jaime thought that.
Hi, you.
Can I quit the podcast?
No, you can't.
Until death.
You
Until
dragged
death.
me into this mess. You're not
Until
allowed to
my
leave.
death specifically.
There's one person in particular who's not allowed to quit this show. It's you.
Crash and burn. The hilarity that it would be if I quit the show would be very good because The show, if I quit, the show would probably end immediately.
Yeah.
There'd be like 2 episodes of like death throes, and then it'd just be like, yeah, okay, nah.
A good show before it gets canceled. We would have 2 or 3 really shitty episodes before we're not renewed, you know?
Nobody would have fucking time for this podcast if I quit. I'm the only one keeping
No, we
us
lose.
trucking here.
Lose a host, it just becomes pod race references every single episode, and
Unedited.
we lose those advertisers that we just finally got, you know, and then
Oh,
nothing.
speaking of advertisers, pack a lunch for this one. This episode is brought to you by Mild Inconvenience Note. So I must be incredibly clear. This is not brought to you by the manga and anime Death Note, which shares a similar name, nor is it brought to you by those that own the trademark or the heinous man known as Light Yagami, aka Akira, rest in piss. No, this is brought to you by an entirely unrelated and distinctly untrademarked and separate Shinigami organization representing a distinctly legally different Shinigami group.
I think I just had a stroke.
This is not brought to you by the makers of Death Note. It's not brought to you by the characters in Death Note who did terrible things, rest in piss. It is brought to you by separate Shinigami organizations for an item similar to, but not the same. See the distinctly and legally different Shinigami have been forced legally to change with the times and can't be caught giving kids the power to write down names and commit mass murder. Allegedly. So they're now marketing the product Mild Inconvenience Note. Mild Inconvenience Note is a book, much like the legally distinct and not owned by us other book, but different in that it can only handle things and just slightly makes the lives of people who are written in it slightly worse.
On a list of things I can't handle, it's whatever is happening right now.
I just want to know who's been writing my name in this book for a decade, because
Does your boss drive you nuts? Why not write his name into the book next to the words tummy ache?
I should not be granted this power.
What about your in-laws? Why not write down your father-in-law's name in the book next to uncontrollable gas that doesn't want to escape him? Did a teacher fail you on a big test? Find out their first name and write it down next to losing their keys every day entirely in new and different spots and then never repeating. Want to kill your neighbor for knocking over your trash cans? Well, legally you cannot do that both for trademark and actual crime reasons, you fucking psycho, but you can write down their name next to a permanently lost television remote. Now that is actual revenge. So please support the Shinigami in their time of financial need by going to their Hell Etsy shop, www.etsy.hell/Shinigami legally not Death Note, and use the code legally distinct today to get 20% off and a legally unique Shinigami to watch your every move. Order the Mild Inconvenience Note today.
I gotta say that URL could use some work, but pristine promo
I think
code.
it's actually required by Hell Internet that it be long, and it's all about suffering, so it has to be long and confusing.
That tracks. That checks out.
There's also caps in the legally part of that URL, which means that their internet works different than ours. Again, go support the Shinigami's Etsy shop so that they can continue to
Such
change
a funny
with the
sentence.
times and not be what they once were, which allegedly may have been a more deadly book. Allegedly.
Back to alleged.
Allegedly. Light Yagami, rest in
We
peace.
haven't had to pull out the allegedlys in a while. Oh, man. Well, that's, hey, we're getting that hell money coming in. We're
getting that hell money. I mean, we made some contacts in Hellcourt, and I was like,
Yeah, we really flipped that situation around.
Yeah, I would, I'd say that's a pretty good example of, making the best out of a bad situation.
And this is probably, while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to promote, personally, the podcast that gave us this idea for a podcast. Go watch Worst Idea of All Time, the podcast that inspired this goddamn nightmare. They're doing all of the Fast and Furious movies backwards, but rewatching each one based on the numbered entry that they are in the series. So they'll watch Fast and Furious 9 times, and then Fast and Furious 8 times, and then
Oh God.
That
makes me want to puke.
they're more fucking crazy than we are. So I'm gonna shout them out. Imagine watching those movies.
Well, also
backward.
just on the basis of us existing.
Yes, if it worked for them, this wouldn't exist.
If you're real mad that we exist, it's their fault.
It's not their fault. I'm not gonna blame this on them.
I'm blaming it on them. I'm mad we exist.
Well, I was about to say it's not their fault that we chose an actual beloved franchise, but they're doing a beloved franchise, so.
The Fast and the Furious and Paul Blart Mall Cop are not beloved franchises, Jay.
I mean, they did
you wouldn't put them on the level of Star Wars?
They did spend 2 full years each on Sex and the City, so maybe the Sex and the City movie.
As you should.
As you do. So I figured I'd shout them out, but they're not paying us. I think they've done many worse movies than we do.
I have ruined a thing I love for free. You couldn't pay me to
ruined a thing I love for free.
Sex and the City 2 every week for a year is a lot. But anyway, Star Wars Return of the Jedi.
No.
What else you got?
What else you got? Jesus Christ. Poor Jay.
Han is the dumbest person alive. Man sees an obvious trap and goes, wait, I don't get it.
Yeah.
That's a full no.
Is that this movie, or is that, like, all the movies?
I think it's in reference to the...
What is this a note for?
I think this is in reference to the basket trap. Chewie's taken out and he just walks over and is just like, I don't get it. And then Luke's the one like, wait, no! It's just like, he walks over to a net hanging from a tree with a chicken in it, or a space chicken in it, and he's like, I don't get it. And it's like I get Chewie. Chewie was hungry as fuck and probably has not eaten something that he would legitimately eat on Kashyyyk in quite a long time.
No, it's not even that. It's space racism.
Well, I mean that.
Because George Lucas was like, oh, the big hairy guy's gonna go after the fucking rotting carcass
We unfortunately do know that George Lucas saw Chewbacca as his dog, because Chewbacca was based off of his dog, and Han and Chewie were based off of him driving around with his dog in the passenger seat, which is cute and all, but you made the dog sentient, so that is now a person, and fantasy racism applies.
I gotta say that scene really is like one of the more infuriating scenes in the OT, because like it really just portrays Chewie as so dumb. Like, it's such
true.
an obvious trap. It's such an obvious fucking trap.
But like Jay said, the only one there who's like, wait, maybe this isn't a good idea was fucking Luke.
Well, look, I have no problem with Han being dumb. Chewie's supposed to be the smart one of the two of them.
I'm just saying Han was especially stupid because he walked over, looked at the full scope of the trap, and it was just like, I don't get it. Yeah. That's another one where I laughed for an embarrassing amount of time.
I got no problem with Han being just dumb as shit. I do take offense to Chewie being portrayed as dumb.
Yes. Because as we have established on the podcast, he's the one with the smarts on the Millennium Falcon. If Chewie wasn't... Thank God Chewie outlived Han. Because if Han was left with just the Falcon on his own, canon Han, I think he would crash it or drive it through a fucking planet in like 2 seconds. Like, give it a couple weeks and he's dead.
Yeah. Or, Han, because if there's one thing Han Solo does well, it's lose the Millennium Falcon. He would just have lost it quicker, and then, he would have died.
Yeah.
Or, Han, because if there's one thing Han Solo does well, it's lose the Millennium Falcon. He would just have lost it quicker, and then, he would have died. or gotten himself like another co-pilot who turned out to be like a pirate and got himself captured by like space pirates.
Man, every time I see that Lando and Han farewell before they go down to the forest moon, I'm like, they've really missed an opportunity for this to be fucking Lando. That Lando just took off with it. They missed that opportunity so bad.
It's true. Well, and there was such a Chekhov's gun moment there, and I've brought this up before, because Han looks at it and goes, I just get the feeling I'm not going to see her again. And they pick up on that in the sequels, kind of, but, like, it's still, like,
I mean,
a weirdly dropped thing in the OT, and I get, like, the trilogy's over and yada yada, but, like...
ultimately, I think that's Han looking at it and thinking he's gonna, like, die down on planet. You know, it's more, it's less, I think the ship is going to be gone, more, I think I'm going to be gone, you know, like...
And then he survives long enough to almost crash it into a planet.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. Han Solo, pretty crappy character. Star Wars hot take.
I don't know if that's a hot take by anybody at this point.
Have you talked to Star Wars people?
I'd prefer not to.
Yeah. Look, I got... Han's fine, but, like, to not... People aren't honest enough with who characters in fiction that they like are. You can like a character while acknowledging that they suck. Some of the best characters are that.
That's true.
Like, acknowledging a character's flaws and liking them because of those flaws, there's nothing wrong with that. Completely gaslighting yourself into thinking that a character is something they are not in order for you to like them is a weird fucking thing that various fandoms do. You can like a shitty character. There's nothing wrong with that.
You just have to admit they're fucking shitty.
That's a lot of people won't.
I think, unfortunately, people identify with characters sometimes who are shitty, and acknowledging that those characters are shitty would force them to look inward at themselves and realize, hey, I might also be shitty.
I might be a terrible person.
Which, you know, that's all the Buddhist stuff, you know, the ascending and, you know, all the that's how you you know, ego death and all that. It's good for you. Just look inward a little bit, you know, figure it out.
God, we're just shitting on Star Wars fans tonight. I'm not opposed, but like,
do we ever not?
We are. Well, you're right, but like, we're leaning into this shit.
I mean, look, it's this show has the potential, if people would let it, like, if they would hear the things we're saying, this is therapy time, all right? Listen, if you're a Star Wars fan who has some opinions about things, it's fine. It's fine. They're movies for children with space wizards and laser swords, all right? It's not that deep.
You made the decision to click on a podcast that in the description says we are killing a sacred cow for ourselves. You know that we're not going to speak fondly of the franchise. It's not, at this point, it's self-imposed. But we also take our time to point out assholes who have not gone through this process, who seem to misunderstand Star Wars so incredibly that they dishonor you, the fan base. So it's like, you know that we're going to bitch, but you also know that we're going to be fair about
it. We bitch because we care, you know, that's...
And let it be known, it has been 2.5 years, just about. It has been very many episodes. Do I know off the top of my head how many episodes? I do not. But it's a lot of episodes. At the beginning of 2023, we started recording this podcast at the end of July 2020.
God.
And let it be known, we have never looked at a wall and said, I don't like those bricks. Those bricks are the problem.
Yeah.
In all that time, desperately going through the mud with our bare hands, elbow deep, we have never said, fucking nails, right?
We are.
Fucking nails.
We're in the shit, man. We're boots on the ground in the shit
we are.
Every week. And we're not worried about fucking screws. Get out of here. Fucking dork.
Fucking dork.
2.5 fucking years of this shit. And that was an out of body experience for me to hear somebody say something like that when we have been trying so hard to find things to say about this show that we literally make the smallest scene in the entire franchise our
big joke.
personality defining feature. Or we make multiple spin-off shows for characters you know and usually don't know. But we have never looked at the brick wall and there are brick walls in the movies, you fucking dumbass, and that said, no, I don't. That's not Star Wars. It's like, fuck off.
That's like, well, that's the weird thing where you see it a lot with a lot of franchises, and I think I talked about this recently with like the Halloween movie about like original creators doing stuff, and like, you know, even to a certain extent, like just you as the fan, like fandoms of anything need to get to a point where they, and we to a point, because I think, you know, we would be included in that as well. You don't get to decide what the thing is. The thing is going to be what it's going to be. And you can either strap in and be along for the ride, or you can leave, you know? Like, that's...
Yeah.
This isn't made specifically for you. And that's, like, people take such ownership of stuff, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But you don't get to have this vitriol about this shit like it was made specifically for you and you've been wronged or slighted, you know? I hate the fucking sequel trilogy. I fucking hate it. I hate everything it fucking stands for. I hate the fact that we have all these great spin-offs that are being made that ultimately end with this fucking trilogy. But it's fine, they exist. Other people like them, there's nothing fucking wrong with that, you know? I'm not the fucking arbiter of Star Wars, you know? Like, just because I don't like a fucking thing doesn't mean that it's wrong for existing. And a lot of people don't think of it that way, and then you end up looking at brick walls and going, that's wrong, fuck you.
Well, and kind of like what Jay was hitting at before, like, nobody is forcing you to consume this content. Like,
yeah,
no one's strapping you in a chair and taping your eyelids open. Except
here's
for
the
us.
way I see it. Here's the way I see it. I decided at some point this year that I'm just not going to consume the MCU anymore. I'm just not, because it's a self-defeating prophecy, because what I want out of it isn't something that it can fulfill. It's something that its entire design is built against. I mean, fuck, they basically leaked the information recently that they see it as a red flag if a director that they grab has read comics. So it's like, I'm not going to get what I want out of these. So it's like, it's fine. Enjoy it. Enjoy your world. Enjoy the MCU. I think I'm peaced out. I'm good. I can have that kind of healthy separation from it. Because I also can recognize that in some way, it has been good. This is a separate conversation for another time that won't be on our podcast. But it has been good for these characters and people to fall in love with them and maybe go find comics for themselves. And I can't be mad at it. But at the same time, I feel like more people need that healthy separation where it's like, this is a thing that I used to like. I'm ready to move on from it.
And I think if people could be more open to change, that they could find better. Like, here we go. Set a timer, Ben. 6 minutes. Comic book corner.
No, let's not, please.
I am probably in the minority. I love Namor, the Submariner, as a character. Big fan of that character in the comics. I was a little trepidatious when I saw what they were doing with him in the newest Black Panther movie. I saw that movie last week. It's the best thing Marvel's done since the MCU started.
I've heard that,
It is the most original idea. It's a more original idea than Marvel Comics has had in decades.
Listen, I'm going to say it like this. I know I just had my MCU spiel. Marvel hasn't known what to do with Namor in
Yeah.
30
Well,
fucking years.
they changed everything. They completely changed Namor.
And he needed to be changed.
I mean, it's a character that's older than Aquaman, but is always going to
Yeah.
just draw Aquaman comparisons. If you would put Namor as he stands in the comics, just in the Black Panther, people would have gone, "Oh, it's it's Aquaman," except it's not Khal
Yeah.
Drogo. No, what they did ended up with truly, in my opinion, that's my opinion. You don't have to agree with it, anyone who's listening to this and is very mad at me right now. I think it's the most original thing that Marvel has done, comic books included, in decades. It's the newest idea,
Yeah, I heard.
that anyone in comics has fucking had for fucking decades. It's very original, very new, very cool. I got no problem with it. Absolutely loved that movie. Loved everything they did with Namor. Totally cool with it, I think if more people could go into things that they are familiar with, and the MCU is a great example of it, because I was there years ago where I was like, this is very different than the comics. That's fucking gone. It's gone. It's new shit. I've lived through multiple relaunches of comic book companies and the characters changing. I can do it again with the movies. I got very little problem with it. I think if more people could go into franchises and things that they like with a bit more of an open mind, I think there'd be a lot less angry nerds out there. Um, and, us included. We don't like the sequel trilogy. I think,
I want to be very clear about this particular subject. I don't hate those movies. I don't even dislike those movies. I really hate Rise of Skywalker. But I'm fine. I like the first two movies better than I like either Attack of the Clones or Phantom Menace. I do. That's just true.
I would not disagree with that statement. For me, I would not disagree with
So
that.
it's
I
like-
would agree if it wasn't
you-
for the pod race.
Fucker.
My one
We
preface.
can't keep getting away with it. We can't keep.
I'm gonna just walk right over you and pretend like you're not there to continue this particular point. If someone said to me, you don't have to watch all of the movies forever, but you get 6 weeks off, but you do have to watch one trilogy that's not the original trilogy every 9 weeks. Like, you have to watch 3 of them, and then you get 6 weeks off, and you get 3 of them or 6 weeks off, and I have to choose between the prequels and the sequels. I'm going to choose the sequels. Because I have a better time watching those first 2 movies than I do the first 2 movies of the prequels.
And I mean, we've talked about this a lot at this point with the sequel trilogy in particular. Rise of Skywalker is what it always comes back to, because
Yeah.
I loved Force Awakens when it came out. I am on record as stating, when Force Awakens came out, I fucking loved it.
It's pretty alright.
Last Jedi, a little less. But seeing what we could have gotten with Trevorrow's version of Episode 9, I think it would have all wrapped up in a satisfactory manner, to which,
Yeah.
I would have had some issues with some of the direction, but I wouldn't have been as angry about it as I am. And that's again, if we have new people for some reason listening to this, and if you're still here after I just talked about Namor the Submariner, it's very important.
A character, deceptively one of the oldest characters in all of Marvel, debuted hand in hand with the Human Torch. No, not that Human Torch. The android Human Torch.
The first Marvel character. Like, he is the first Marvel character.
Was it him or was it Human Torch? Because I feel like it might be again not that Human
It
Torch,
was either
not Johnny
they
Storm,
were either in the
an
same
android Human
They were
Torch.
either like one and the same as far as debuts, or I think Namor was slightly before, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong. I'm not that old.
Because I remember the first big crossover event was them and oh god, who's the third man? Who was the third man?
Wasn't it are you talking about the Captain America one?
No, it wasn't Cap.
Audience, listen, come here, audience. I am just as fucking lost as you.
But no, very important to point out if you're new here. The sequels get a lot of shit. from Star Wars fans, in some pretty hippie quotes, who have some very specific problems with these movies. And I think we are very much not in that camp in a lot of ways. I like Rey as a character. I like Finn and Poe. Rose is a great character. The characters are not the problem. That movie is the problem. Like the characters are great. Rise of Skywalker in and of itself is the problem. Um, but I don't know. Like it's frustrating. It's still very frustrating because like the sequel trilogy starts off real strong, goes in some weird directions, but ultimately it just falls fucking flat. But even then, just because I don't fucking like it doesn't mean that I think other people shouldn't be allowed to like it. Like we've talked about that at length about fucking Reylo shippers. If that's a thing you like, sure, go for it. Just don't start yelling at other fucking people on Twitter because they don't like it.
It was Cap.
It was Cap. See?
Because that was when Namor flooded all of New York City. I just want to point out, since I just have 1 second to talk about this weird first ever, they build the original Human Torch. Not that Human Torch, the original Cyborg Human Torch. Namor versus the original Cyborg Human Torch is the fight of the century, which I just saw a cover for that trying to search out that, and I got a huge laugh. I had to suppress a huge laugh at that. So
if you want to read some good Namor content, go back to the much shit upon Civil War, the original one, the Illuminati miniseries that took place concurrent with that. Just find the issue where Namor beat the shit out of Iron Man and tried to drown Tony Stark in the ocean. It's really fucking great. Or Namor constantly trying to steal Sue Storm away from Reed Richards, which is my favorite running bit in all of comic books.
MCU, I will forgive you if you do an entire movie purely based around Namor trying to fuck Sue Storm while she's specifically married to Reed
Audience.
Richards.
More in the future in the MCU.
Audience, listen, I'm trapped in a basement. They won't stop. I need help.
The comic nerds won't let me go.
They won't stop talking about Namor.
They won't stop talking about Namor. They're 10 seconds away from bringing up his dick again.
God, that would be a great episode title if we didn't already have such a good one at the beginning. They won't stop talking about Namor. Oh, man.
There's a lot of good title pitches here.
But no, ultimately, and thank you for coming to my TED Talk, it's fucking, just let people enjoy stuff. Like, let people not enjoy stuff, but also just fucking let people enjoy stuff. If you don't like something, that's fine. That's fine, man. Listen, if you don't like the bricks in Star Wars, just ignore them. Just ignore the bricks.
Despite that they're in most every movie.
Ignore the bricks
in most every movie.
Yeah, just ignore
It's
them.
alright.
God,
It's alright.
I just don't understand. Like,
Don't look too close at the blasters for nails.
Look, I get it, man. Like, I was an angry teenager, but I learned how to talk to people and regulate my emotions. And like, if you
did this wonderful thing, it's called touch grass.
Yeah, you just touch some grass. You stop thinking about the bricks in Star Wars. It's all right. You'll get there. Not to keep stealing bits from Cody Johnston, but hey, man, do you need a friend? I'll do it. Do you need to talk to someone? Do you just need to talk to someone? Like, I'll fucking be your friend. We can hang out. You can talk about Star Wars. It's fine. Like, well... Look, I know my my northeastern. I come off a little hostile. I come off a little aggressive, but I'm all about peace and love over here, man. If you need someone to talk to about the bricks in Star Wars and how they deeply upset you, I will fucking talk to you. It's all right. Just let people like stuff. You don't have to like everything. There's so much out there in the world. You will never consume all of it before you die, all right? Find something else to consume.
Also, you didn't make a promise to an eldritch being that will destroy you if you stop watching Star Wars. We did. But if you dislike it that much, you can just stop making stuff about it.
There are plenty of that. Like sometimes you can love something and you just gotta let it go. Like franchises, especially. I mean, I think I've talked about it in the show a little bit. The Harry Potter series
Oh,
was very important to me as a child. Some of the few good memories I have with my mother. Um, kind of got me into reading, my love for storytelling and all this and that. I fucking left that series behind before J.K. Rowling made me hate it. Just based upon how much I didn't like what they were doing with it post the original books, and I was like, this isn't for me anymore. Gonna walk away from it. Which I think softened the blow of all the other shit later on. But like, you can grow out of stuff. It happens.
you could.
Sometimes a thing that you like isn't for
Yeah.
you anymore. Like
Yeah.
sometimes something that you're really fucking into, it's just not your thing anymore. I was like that with fucking pro wrestling for a while, and then for some reason I got back into it, and now it's like a cult that I can't escape. So, you know,
I don't think
just
you're ever out of pro wrestling for life.
sometimes you just need to walk away, touch some fucking grass, and recalibrate. Like it's not that serious. It's just Star Wars.
I'm just gonna throw in. I mirror the statements on Harry Potter from Chris, but also fuck J.K. Rowling.
Oh, absolutely, fuck J.K. Rowling. I'm just saying,
and
I
that's
stepped
And fuck
stepped
Harry
away.
Potter.
I stepped away before all that shit happened, so I kind of
My
got to soften that blow a little bit for myself.
my mother sat down, and it's well established that I'm a mama's girl on this podcast. I think we've made that very clear. My mother read all of those books to both of us
Okay.
by hand, and I still threw that shit out the fucking window.
I was
So fuck her.
I was way too old when that final book came out for my mother and me to be reading together. I guess technically, still did it, because it was what we had done for all of them.
Well,
I went to midnight releases for those books at our local ShopRite, which
Oh
is
my
a
gosh.
northeastern chain of grocery stores.
I'm not gonna. I'm not even gonna glorify those memories anymore. But I will say this: I don't need to have those books in my life for a million reasons. Fuck them and fuck her. But I will say one of my most closely guarded memories is waiting for one of those terrible books to come out and being in line for the midnight release, the last one. My mom was in not great shape. She was in a motorized scooter at the time. But she said, "Why don't we go for a ride?" And we just did fucking laps around the local mall over and over
my
again. And
gosh.
like, like way too fast, maybe a little fast and loose. So, fuck her and fuck that. But that was a wonderful memory.
But yeah, I think.
Ben, you want to give us a little bit of?
A little bit of
Can
weird
can
Wikipedia.
can I point out before we go into weird Wikipedia, as we end a weirdly serious episode of this podcast for once? I just now am noticing Ben's Danny DeVito pillow behind him
Oh yeah,
there.
Danny DePillo.
Danny DePillow.
Danny DePillo has been
Danny
brought up
DePillo.
on the show.
He's been sitting there the whole time.
Hey, Danny DeVito, come on the podcast.
Danny DeVito, please come on the podcast. Holy shit.
I know we bug you on Twitter, but
We
no.
we have oh my god, my favorite thing that happened a few weeks ago. Danny DeVito's got some new show, like an animated show with his kid, I think.
Yes.
That he's been hyping up on
Yes.
Twitter. The night that the first episode premiered, he I don't think said he was gonna live tweet along with it, but he was live tweeting along with it, just saying random weird shit, and people thought that he was having like a crisis of some sort.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Because he was just tweeting random weird shit, and people were like, "Is Danny DeVito okay?"
I know I saw it and I went over on the Stars Every Week Forever Twitter to interact, and then I realized what was going on. I was like, oh, thank Christ. Danny DeVito, come on the podcast.
Danny DeVito,
Go
come on the podcast.
Talk about Star Wars and bricks.
Ben, you want to bring us home with a weird
Yes,
Wikipedia?
I do, but I am already home. Today on Weird Wikipedia, we have Port Duggan. It was a spaceport for Babur Station. It included Slip 18L and Slip 16F. That is all. That is the entire
Oh,
article.
this is This is a Yuuzhan Vong book.
Beautiful.
So I don't know if
Well,
we want to
it's a
have
Yuuzhan
another
book.
go at this
Coming,
tonight,
folks.
or if that's
No, I'm just gonna follow.
I think that's fine.
okay.
I'm gonna follow my way down the rabbit hole. While past me tries to figure that out. Hi, this is Jay from the Stars Every Week Forever offices. I just wanted to point out, since none of our dumbasses even thought about this for a second, Duggan. It's probably Fort Duggan. You know, like the name, Duggan. Like Hacksaw Jim Duggan. We are so stupid. Why do you listen to us? We're so stupid. Alright, back to the episode. Baburo Station, which orbited the planet of Duro, was the largest of the planet's 20 space cities. Duburo. So this is one of the many Yuuzhan Vong books. It was long considered the capital of Duro, and it was famous for its magnificent artificial forests.
Huh?
I remember this book because a big plot point of it was that the the big throat aliens. That did not come out right. The Ithorians.
The Ithorians, yeah.
Yeah, the Ithorians had lost their planet to the Yuuzhan Vong already at this point. And they offered to come help the Duros, and the Duros were just like, absolutely fucking not. We hate you.
Dang.
The reasons for that, I don't remember. But, you know, it was one of the many political Yuuzhan Vong books. Man, there was a weird Yuuzhan Vong book where Mara Jade just takes a random vacation in the middle of the war. I wish I could remember where.
As you do, I mean.
Podcast before, actually.
Have we?
I feel like we have
Time
actually
is a
talked
flat
about that
circle.
on the podcast.
Time's a flat circle. Hey Luke, let's go funk at a campsite on a random planet. It's been a long war.
Oh, man.
Well,
Well, that was a thing we just did.
and this has been the thing that we just did forever. We love you all so much. Happy 2023.
Oh, God.
Happy 2023.
Good night. Hey, is this the year we get new outros?
Hello, all you beautiful people, and thank you very much for joining us on yet another week of Star Wars Every Week Forever. We upload every Wednesday around noon on various platforms, including YouTube, Spotify, TuneIn, and many others. If you have any friends, companions, people you would like to torture with our presence, feel free to send them our way. You know where to find us. If you would like to interact with the show and the various co-hosts, you can find us quite easily on Twitter at SWEWF. We check there very regularly, so it's easy to get a hold of us. And I hope all of you wonderful people have a glorious rest of your day. Until next we meet, may the Force be with you.